Hey guys, this is Jamie. So today I want to talk about being trans, gay, and aging, really. So obviously, I'm in my 30s now, and I think I can't help but sort of understand that this is an age which I didn't ever expect myself to even survive to, because obviously I didn't know that what trans people properly were. Like growing up, like in Lithuania and stuff, like HRT was illegal, so I didn't even know properly who I was. Like, didn't think that it was okay to be myself either, and it was just really rough growing up, and I have documented like my transition and the start of it quite through the years in this channel. So obviously it makes me very emotional to think about it. And I can't help but just end up thinking like I am very grateful to make it to my 30s, because I was really convinced that I'd end up like dying around like Richie Edwards' death from the Manic Street Preachers, or when he vanished around age 27. I mean, age 27. And the problem is that growing up, I feel like I didn't have any references for like trans dudes. I didn't know what trans dudes were. I didn't know that it was a possibility to even live as myself rather than being sort of locked up like in a room just like writing away and wishing of a different life. And I don't know, it's also weird because when I talk to people about it, like, hey, yeah, I was suicidal, or like, hey, I didn't think I'd make it ever to my 30s. Like, even the whole idea to making it to like age 29 or something seems so outlandish sometimes. Like, growing up, I didn't even think I'd make it to 18. So being like 31 feels very bizarre just because people like who grow up in Eastern Europe, and specifically like when I was growing up, and now specifically with the current laws like in Russia and etc., and like the war in Ukraine, Lithuania is being a shithole. Like people just move out, and the possibility of moving out was even more slim, and everything just seemed like it would never happen. Like the whole idea of just like sitting there, like in your classroom, like just thinking, fuck, I wish I was anywhere other than here. I hate my classmates. I hate like how homophobic they are. I hate how neo Nazified everything is. And then to sort of grow up and be like, yeah, I live like in Portugal. I graduated uni. I'm like working. I'm finishing stuff. I'm doing stuff. Just felt so surreal. And I do understand, for instance, like obviously the frustration, the way the laws are going backwards. There just wasn't any visibility back in the day. There wasn't any sort of idea that you'd even survive past suicide. And now we're sort of going back to that. Like I see like kids, teenagers, people like in the US and the UK like complaining about the laws, and it's like I grew up with similar laws. I grew up with like insane scrutiny that you should be like the thing that your parents are expecting you to be. And even certain things like, sure, I have days when it's very difficult to sort of think like, yeah, I don't talk to my family doesn't talk to me. And it can get me down. And I'm okay with it now. Because before it was just like, to survive, maybe I'll have to cut them off, and then survive for a bit, and then I'll just probably kill myself because I'll be miserable anyway. And I don't think people understand that sort of reaching 30s is a massive milestone. And I think one of the sort of things that I ended up really struggling to sort of accept from my parents was the fact that they were not liking the fact that I was aging as a man. And that's why to me, like, I am very proud of having the privilege, the capacity, the fact that I can age to me is wonderful. And that's why, like, even when I was growing up, like, even to be like a bit sentimental and stuff, I wanted to live to old age, and it felt like something so surreal that my life would be so miserable. And first of all, I didn't think I'd make it to old age, and two, that it felt so amazing to know that you have gone through the hardships. And because back then it was like obviously in the beginning of everything, like I wasn't even close to transitioning. So obviously, like I'd speak of old age and this sort of like, wow, I wish I get old someday. And now, like, sort of seeing it take its course, seeing sort of like me go bald or like me be less athletic or whatever, it does make me happy. I am very happy to age, factually. And that's why I find it sort of bizarre that people go into like different face surgeries, Botox, sort of to reverse this. Because of course, like I have sometimes thoughts like, oh, I wish I was less anxious in my 20s. I wish I cut off my family earlier. But I don't want to return to the 20s. I am very happy in my 30s. I just sometimes I do not enjoy sort of people's perception about aging because I don't see anything wrong with like a receding hairline or like trimming your hair. And I do sort of sometimes even question myself like, "Oh, why am I being so picky about my skin? Like, why am I moisturizing too much or like fighting wrinkles?" And then I tell myself, well, I'm just taking care of my skin. And I don't even go for like anti age products. Like everything I do for my skin is literally just to keep it within healthy reasons? So I do feel like it's a privilege to age. And I do wish that society would sort of stop idolizing this youth or whatever. Because it's fine to age. It's fine to sort of grow into your age. It's fine to not look like someone who's in a magazine. So yeah, and in general, like with self-image, I feel like specifically in the gay community, but in general right now, like everyone sort of has this idea and desire to look this sort of never aging 20s. It gets more personal because I was really suicidal growing up, so and I'm very happy to sort of make it to a threshold where I'm pleased with it. So yeah, that's pretty much what I wanted to say. It was a bit more personal today, more than usual. And yeah, I tended to sort of go more personal, like when I was describing about my transition rather than political things. So obviously, this felt a bit nostalgic as well to talk about. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you enjoyed this video, please feel free to drop a like. If you want to talk to someone about trans stuff, trigger someone, fight someone, feel free to send this video. And yeah, I've been really appreciative of all the love I've been getting, all the comments, likes, everything. Feel free to leave the usual bouquet. And yeah, thank you very much for watching.